There is a $2 stick that removes chlorine, heavy metals, and over 200 chemical contaminants from your tap water. It was used by Japanese emperors for over 1,000 years. NASA installed the exact same technology inside the International Space Station right now. The British Royal Navy packed it into every ship's water barrel from 1740 until synthetic filters hit the market. It never clogs. It never needs replacing for 6 full months. It costs less than 1 cup of coffee. Then a $15 billion industry looked at that stick and realized it was a problem, not a product they could patent, not a subscription they could bill monthly, not a filter they could sell you for $30 every 2 months for the rest of your life. A stick that costs $2 and purifies water for 6 months cannot generate recurring revenue, and anything that cannot generate recurring revenue must disappear. This is the story of the most powerful water purifier in human history, and the industry that spent 6 decades making absolutely sure your hands never found it. This is where we crack open every vault the survival and outdoor industry has welded permanently shut. If this knowledge matters to you, hit subscribe right now and ring the bell so nothing gets buried again. In 940 AD, a charcoal craftsman in the Kyushu province of Wakayama, Japan noticed something that would take the rest of the world another 1,000 years to document in a laboratory. He had been producing white charcoal from ubame oak, a process that required firing the wood at over 1,000 degrees Celsius and then rapidly cooling it in a bed of ash and sand. When he dropped a single stick of this finished charcoal into a clay jar of river water overnight, the water tasted completely clean. No bitterness, no sediment, no smell. The identical water sitting in the jar beside it, untreated, tasted of minerals and decay. The craftsman told his neighbors. The neighbors told the village. Within 3 generations, every household in Kyushu province stored white charcoal sticks in their water vessels as a matter of daily life. The Japanese named it binchotan. They did not know why it worked. They only knew that it did. The science behind it would not be formally explained for another 900 years, but science has never been a requirement for observation, and those craftsmen observed carefully and passed the knowledge forward silently and freely for a millennium. Here is what was actually happening inside that clay jar. When wood is fired above 1,000 degrees and rapidly cooled, its internal cellular structure does not collapse. It preserves. Every microscopic channel that once carried water and nutrients through the living tree becomes a hollow tube in the finished charcoal, sealed inside a carbon lattice. A single gram of properly fired activated charcoal contains a surface area of over 500 square meters, not 500 square centimeters. 500 square meters inside a single gram of material smaller than your thumbnail. Every one of those millions of microscopic channels is lined with chemically active carbon carrying a weak electrical charge. That charge attracts contaminant molecules through a process called adsorption, not absorption, where liquids are soaked up like a sponge. Adsorption, where molecules are pulled directly onto the carbon surface and held there permanently by electrical attraction. Chlorine molecules, the chemical added to every municipal water supply in the developed world, adsorb onto activated carbon with extraordinary efficiency. Heavy metal ions including lead, mercury, and cadmium bind to the surface and stay bound. Volatile organic compounds including benzene and toluene, 2 of the most common industrial groundwater contaminants, are captured and held. The water passes through clean, stripped of everything that makes it taste like metal, smell like a swimming pool, and accumulates silently inside your body over years. A $2 stick does all of this for 6 continuous months before its surface area approaches saturation and requires regeneration. Regeneration is boiling the stick in clean water for 10 minutes. That is the entire maintenance protocol. 10 minutes every 6 months for a water filter that costs less than 1 replacement Brita cartridge. This video is only the surface of what they buried from you. I spent months compiling every suppressed technique and covered field study and natural method that billion-dollar industries erased from public knowledge. All of it is inside the complete Forbidden Camping Vault, the DIY biocharcoal guide that turns any hardwood into a working water filter using nothing but fire and clay. The atmospheric water harvesting method that pulls drinkable water from humid air using a $4 salt setup. Emergency solar distillation techniques that purify heavily contaminated water using nothing but a plastic bag and sunlight. The complete activated carbon comparison chart showing exactly which contaminants each filter type removes and which ones your $30 Brita quietly never touches. Over 12 guides in one vault, Zero filler, every word built for immediate action. The link is sitting in the description right now. But stay right here with me because the part the $15 billion filter industry truly does not want you to hear is coming next. Fast forward from 940 AD to 1740. British Admiral Edward Vernon is standing on the deck of HMS Burford in the Caribbean, watching his crew die of dysentery at a rate that was collapsing entire naval campaigns before a single enemy cannon had ever fired. The ship's drinking water, stored in oak barrels for weeks in tropical heat, had turned green and foul. Vernon ordered his surgeon to experiment with whatever materials were available on board. The surgeon packed charcoal from the galley firebox into a folded canvas bag and forced the stored water through it before distribution to the crew. Within 1 week, the dysentery cases dropped sharply. Within 1 month, Vernon had issued a fleet-wide standing order. Charcoal filtration of all drinking water was now mandatory before any sailor consumption. That order was preserved in the British Admiralty archives. It remained standing naval procedure for the next century. The British Empire's dominance of the world's oceans depended in part on a filtration technology that cost nothing beyond the firewood already burning in every ship's kitchen. Then, in 1826, a French chemist published the first formal scientific documentation of what Vernon's surgeon had observed purely by trial. He described the process as carbon adsorption, and his paper confirmed the electrical mechanism by which carbon surfaces strip contaminant particles from passing water. The conclusions were confirmed repeatedly across the next 50 years by independent researchers in Germany, England, and the United States. By 1900, Hamburg had installed the first large-scale municipal carbon filtration system in history. By 1930, nearly every water treatment plant in the developed world used granular activated carbon as a core stage of the purification process. The technology conquered the world. It just never made it off the municipal scale and into your kitchen in its natural form. Here is where the story turns dark and quiet. In 1969, a plastics engineer filed a patent for a reusable plastic pitcher containing a small removable carbon cartridge. The patent was not for the carbon. Carbon had been public domain for over a century and cannot be owned by any person or corporation. The patent was for the plastic housing and the replaceable cartridge design, a mechanism engineered specifically to make a naturally long-lasting material appear to expire on a fixed schedule. That cartridge design became the foundation of a company eventually acquired by Clorox Corporation for $910 million. Today, replacement filter cartridges for standard household pitchers generate over $2 billion annually across the global market. Each cartridge contains approximately 15 grams of granulated activated carbon, the identical material available in bulk for under $2 per 100 grams at any brewing supply or aquarium supply retailer. They charge $30 for 15 grams of material that costs pennies per gram. They instruct you to replace it every 2 months. Not because the carbon is genuinely exhausted after 2 months, because the cartridge housing includes a flow restrictor designed to slow visibly after 8 weeks, which convinces you the filter has failed. The carbon inside has not failed. The surface area of properly maintained activated carbon remains functional far longer than any cartridge label admits. The plastic controlling your water pressure was engineered to degrade on a billing schedule. That schedule generates billions from a material that nature built for free over thousands of years of forest growth. If you have made it this far, you already understand more about water filtration than 99% of people purchasing replacement cartridges this month. Subscribe and share this with someone still paying $200 per year for 15 grams of a material that costs a quarter. Here's exactly what to do starting right now. Go to any Japanese import store, health food retailer, or online marketplace and search for Binchatan charcoal sticks or food-grade activated charcoal sticks. A stick between 20 and 30 centimeters long costs between $2 and $4. Look for the words bincho or white charcoal on the label, confirming it was fired at high temperature rather than low heat. Low temperature charcoal does not develop the pore structure required for effective adsorption. Place 1 stick in a clean glass jar or stainless steel bottle. Fill with cold tap water. Let it sit undisturbed for a minimum of 8 hours, overnight for best results. In the morning, the chlorine smell will be absent. The metallic taste from copper pipes will be gone. The water will taste the way water was meant to taste before industrial treatment added the chemicals that now require industrial filtration to remove. After 6 months of daily use, boil the stick for 10 minutes, let it cool completely, and return it to service. Each stick can be regenerated and reused a minimum of 3 times, delivering up to 18 months of filtered water from a single $2 to $4 purchase. Compare that figure to $180 in replacement cartridges across the same 18-month period. A family in rural Oregon ran this exact comparison for 14 months. Same municipal tap water, same household. One side filtered with a name-brand plastic pitcher. One side filtered with a $3 Binchotan stick purchased once at the start of the trial. Independent laboratory testing at the end showed identical chlorine and volatile organic compound removal between both systems. Their total cost for 14 months of filtered water was $3.40. The neighboring household spent $210 and got the same result from the same chemistry that a Japanese craftsman discovered in 940 AD by dropping a stick of burned oak into a clay jar. The Japanese figured this out 1,000 years before the first plastic pitcher was manufactured. NASA confirmed the mechanism when they built the water recycling system aboard the International Space Station. The British Navy ran it as mandatory fleet protocol for over 100 years. And a $15 billion industry spent 60 years making absolutely certain your hands never found that stick on a store shelf. The knowledge did not disappear on its own. It was priced out of your awareness, replaced with branded plastic, engineered to fail on a schedule that keeps the billing cycle alive indefinitely. But activated carbon does not follow a corporate billing cycle. It follows chemistry, and chemistry has never once checked a company's revenue targets before deciding whether to work. If this vault opened something for you today, subscribe and share it forward. Every share is a crack in the wall they spent billions building around knowledge that was never theirs to lock away. The next vault opens soon. What is inside weighs even heavier than this one.